Plaintiff Tanya Thomas says the defendants are her nieces, and they had a rough upbringing. Tanya claims one niece was a meth addict who got pregnant at age 18, and her other niece was born a man but always wanted to live life as a woman. Tanya is suing her nieces today for rent and the cost of a name change. Defendants Brittany Peterson and Kayla Thomas admit that Brittany struggled with substance abuse, but she's been sober for 5 years. Kayla admits she was born a man, but lives life as a woman, and that's why Tanya offered to pay for her name change as a birthday gift. They deny owing their aunt for anything.
Tell me what's going on.
Okay, well, they're my nieces, and I love and care about them very much. And I want the best for them. They didn't have a very stable upbringing, so both of them had turned to drugs. Brittany got pretty heavy into drinking. She got into doing meth. Had a
Crystal meth, that's tough.
Yeah. And then got pregnant at 18, and then Kayla was born Charles Healy, and knew from a very young age that should be a female. And so
How young, to your knowledge?
2, 3, was very feminine from very early age.
Never recall being attracted to girls.
No.
The reason I ask, I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'm trying to get you to advocate for others who are being discriminated against.
Yes.
And what I say is that credible scientists have concluded that homosexuality is, people are born
Genetics.
that way. That is not something that you just suddenly say, I think I want to go out and get me a man. Because we have so much discrimination going on in our society. And if it's something that folks are born with, it's terrible to discriminate against it. So, not to put you on the spot and humiliate you, trying to advocate so that you can be, you can help the cause.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. People are born
Genetics.
that way. That is not something that you just suddenly say, I think I want to go out and get me a man. Because we have so much discrimination going on in our society. And if it's something that folks are born with, it's terrible to discriminate against.
Defendants Brittany Peterson and Kayla Thomas are being sued by their aunt, who claims she paid for Kayla to change her name from Charles to Kayla as part of her transition into becoming a woman.
Any more background?
Okay, and Kayla also got into drugs pretty heavily, so I wanted to bring them to live with me to help, set them in the right manner.
Did they?
Help them get their GEDs, because both of them need.
They moved in with you?
Yes, they moved in with me.
Good. At what age?
Well, Kayla was still 18. Her birthday's been since, and then Brittany's birthday's been since too. She's 23.
Okay.
So it was just this past year. And, I want the best for them, so wanted them both to get their GEDs and told them that was one of the things that I wanted them to do while they lived with me. Mm-hmm. And,
Did they?
No.
Neither?
Not that I know of.
You put them out?
Not because of that.
That's enough.
But
You
no.
won't go and get your GED, you're going to be useless in a minute.
No,
You
I
should have
wouldn't have
said
done
to them,
that
you
for
say, you're going to be useless in a minute. This little temporary job you got ain't about nothing, because time they close down, you're not going to be able to find anything because you don't have a GED. People out here with not only GEDs, they have associate degrees, they have training certificates, and they have bachelor's degrees. You're going to be the last one on the list, so I'm not going to let you lay around here and never get a job, because that's what's going to happen if you don't get a GED. You didn't tell them that?
No, actually I didn't. I was
That's
trying
why
to
you got to sue them, see?
I was trying to help Kayla get name change, and so I told her, I'll pay for it up front. But
That don't take but a couple hours.
Well, so we got that done, and as far as I know, name's still under Charlie.
All right, let me hear from you all some background before we get to the rent and the name change cost that she's suing for.
Okay, she's right. I did struggle with substances. This was when I was 15, 16. I lived with her, and I just moved out to Idaho from another state to get away from it. I'd been through treatment and kind of start over, but I just wasn't ready. I became worse, and so I went back to Utah, and I tried and kept relapsing, and I got pregnant, and that was enough.
How long have you been clean?
Almost 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Thank you.
Yeah. What have you been doing in those 5 years?
A lot of growing up. I missed out. I think when you're supposed to be learning to grow up, I was getting high.
Gotcha.
So I'm just now learning to become an adult, and that's why we wanted to live with our
Part
aunt.
of adulthood is to have an ability to care for yourself and your family. And without an education today, that's impossible.
Right.
So why haven't you gotten your GED?
When we moved here, I just was focusing on getting a job.
How long ago was that?
We've been in Idaho about 9 months. We lived with her, I want to say 4
They
or
don't
5
have
months.
night programs there?
I don't know.
Weekend
I haven't
programs,
looked into it.
There
To
you
be
go.
honest,
What
I
you
haven't.
said, you haven't looked into it. How about you? What's your story?
I moved in with my aunt to help me to get on my feet because I needed help getting a name change. And at the time that I was living with her, I was unemployed because I was looking for work.
How long ago was that?
About 4 months ago. And
If y'all get nervous about this educational achievement, it would have been all right if we just talked foolishness. You know, they don't mind me having fun, but when I start asking about being able to train yourself for success, he about to ask me why, and I don't have a story for him. All I'm gonna be able to tell him is I just haven't done it, Your Honor, and then I'm gonna give him a story, and he's gonna cut right through the story.
I'm 2 credits away from graduating and getting my high school diploma.
And you're how old?
I'm 19.
Okay, so you're only a year behind, and you say you're 2 credits behind?
Yes,
Good.
I
So
did.
you're going to get that, and you're going to get either a certificate of training, a community college degree, or a bachelor's degree, right?
Yes.
All right, that's the only way you're going to survive today. It's the only way you're going to be able to take care of yourself and or your family. All right, now tell me about the rent that you're suing them for.
Okay, so I have a breakdown of what there is. So they moved in at the end of March, and they'd been current up until
What was the agreement when they moved in?
that they would each pay $200 a piece per month, and that included all utilities, cable, power, water, all that stuff. And they were supposed to pay me at the beginning of each month. So in June, started falling behind. Kayla got $120 behind, and then neither paid for July.
Okay, tell me about the name change.
So the name change, I had the agreement with Kayla that I would pay for it up front, put it on my credit card, because I actually am not working at the time. I'm in school full time. So I told her I'd put it on my credit card, but as soon as she got a job that she would have to pay me back because I'm paying interest on my credit card and everything for it. But I wanted to help her get things going in her life so she could move on and do what she wants to do.
If y'all get nervous about this educational achievement, it would have been all right if we just talk foolishness. You know, they don't mind me having fun, but when I start asking about being able to train yourself for success, he about to ask me why, and I don't have a story for him. All I'm gonna be able to tell him is I just haven't done it, Your Honor.
Defendants Brittany Peterson and Kayla Thomas are being sued by their aunt, who claims she paid for Kayla to change her name from Charles to Kayla as part of her transition into becoming a woman.
Ladies, tell me about the rent and the name change fee.
There was never an agreement. We were supposed to pay what we could. We had to pay for our own laundry soap, our own, detergent. We had to pitch in with that, and
Fabric softener.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly, and toiletries, things like that.
They used all of my detergent. I paid for pretty much everything, and they didn't really pitch in.
You
But
didn't use any of her detergent.
Yeah, we did.
I would get past this. I'm not going to sit here and go over detergent and fabric
It's just-
softener with you. But I will ask, she had a specific amount. She was very specific, $200 a month each. Is
That's
this the
what-
first time you've heard this?
That's what we told her. That's when we.
And she said, okay?
Yeah, we
Well,
said
then you had an agreement.
Well, we said if we would pay what we could, and we said, you're helping us, you're, letting us use this room, you could be renting it out, so that we would do what we could, and that's
Those
what we
are
had
two
been
different
paying.
things, saying $200 a month versus pay what we can. Those are two different things. We'll try and pay you $200 a month versus we'll pay you what we can. Two different things. $200 is very specific, meaning that you are making a commitment. Otherwise, you say just what you said. If you're not making a commitment and she's not accepting that commitment, then yeah, you don't have an agreement. You're just like you say, well, we pay when you can. If you say, we'll give you $200, we'll try our best. You told her you're going to pay her. And she has then that expectation. And she runs the household according to the expectation that she has for this $200 a month.
Right.
Well, since I'm so right, why haven't you paid it? So now you're just coming to the light. Okay, now that you've come to the light, we know that you're going to have to pay this rent. Now, let's talk about the name change fee, ma'am.
I got told that it was for a birthday gift. And
when?
It was, the court date was for July 31st. And I got told by my aunt that she would pay for it.
When was your birthday?
July 9th.
Okay. When did she first ask you for repayment?
I never got told that I was supposed to pay for it. It was supposed to be a
This is the first
birthday
time
gift.
you heard?
I got told when we were getting kicked out, I guess.
No.
Kicked out.
Yes.
Yeah, we went to the house because we were staying over at a friend's. Her parents were out of town, so just right in the neighborhood. They asked us to stay with her because her parents were out of town. She was only 15, so we were over there a lot. Plus, we were all in one room at my aunt's, and it was nice to kind of have some space. And so we were over there, and we went home to get my daughter because we were going back home every day to get, clothes or whatever. We went back to get a fresh change of clothes, and the locks were changed. So we went through the back door, and she called the police for trespassing. Then the police showed up, and she started throwing our stuff outside and throwing it all over the ground. She wouldn't let us come in and get it. It's
Really? Ma'am, did you do all this?
We had a stupid argument on the 4th of July. And it blew up in my face, and they told me the next day that they would be moving out in a couple weeks.
well, that's not true.
So I went ahead and posted an ad on Craigslist, and they would not talk to me. They were still mad about this argument, and I was trying to get them to talk. They
What
wouldn't
was the
answer
argument?
phone.
Quiet.
It was I was trying to get their attention. To get
to
them
do
to
what?
talk to me.
Talking
and
about what?
This argument. This
Oh,
stupid
okay.
petty
And
little
perhaps
argument.
go back into another argument.
Yeah. And so I was trying to get them to talk to me. They wouldn't answer calls or texts or anything. So I did change the locks, I will say that. But it was to try to force them to talk to me and be an adult and find out what the plan is
Throw
when they
the
were going
things
to.
out.
Yeah.
That's to force them to talk to you
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. I mean, I had
Throw your
no
things out, change the
wants-
locks. Maybe they'll say hi to me in the morning
Yeah,
when they
that's
see
exactly
me.
what it was about. That was exactly what it was
That's a
about.
tough way to live. You don't say hi to me.
Exactly.
If I see you, you don't say hi. I'm changing the locks and throwing your stuff in the street.
Defendants Brittany Peterson and Kayla Thomas are being sued by their aunt, who claims she paid for Kayla to change her name from Charles to Kayla as part of her transition into becoming a woman.
Ma'am, that's as illegal an eviction as you can get.
I wasn't keeping their possessions. I didn't, nor did I ever
No,
want
that's
their
even
possessions.
worse.
No,
you threw
I don't.
them out. You
Yeah,
should
turn the
have
sprinklers
restored
on.
them
No,
for
I would
her.
have let them back in, but I wanted to talk
Ma'am,
to them and
that
get a
is
plan.
terrible. That's a terrible illegal eviction. They're not countersuing for illegal eviction, but I'm not going to reward you after you have thrown them out in the street like that. They could very well sue you for illegal eviction, but I'm certainly not going to grant you a judgment for rent. You've changed the locks and threw their things out in the street,
No.
and yet you want rent. What?
I did not throw their stuff
Are you
out.
asking?
Yes,
you
I
just
am
told me
asking.
you did.
Sorry.
No.
You admitted that you did.
No,
Have a
I
good
said I
day. Have a
locked
good
them
day. Your
out,
claim
but
is dismissed. Have a good day.
I would just go home and carry on the way we were and keep moving on. We both work for the same company and we work really hard and I'm recently married, so just keep moving forward.
I'm ashamed of them. They lied to a judge. I had all their best intention and I was trying to help them. And
We agree with that. She really did have her best intentions. However, in the end, it ended up becoming a case about being jealous.
jealous of what?
She wanted us to spend more time with her, and I understand that, and
No, I didn't.
wanted us to
them
be
do what was
closer.
right.